What's going on, guys? My name is Marcel Flores. Welcome to my YouTube channel, One Dapper Street. A couple weeks ago, I released a video that was a whole lot of random thoughts in my head about the influencer industry, about environmental impact of the fashion industry, and a lot of those things that I just wanted to utter to start a conversation and to kind of work through all those things in my head in front of you guys. Now, your response was incredible. I wish the video had gotten more views to, maybe get a few more people started on that thought process, but there was over 200 comments, many of which were paragraphs upon paragraphs. So I figured rather than trying to respond to you guys on those, as I do in a lot of my videos, I want to talk to you guys about a few of the responses I have, and a little bit of an elaboration of the general consensus between you guys, and also some things that I felt I left unsaid when I first shot the video. Now, I think the way I want to start is just the following, and I think the biggest thing I noticed in all the comments is that you guys were advocating for the balance between all those things. And yes, absolutely. I think that's something I kind of knew, but it helped reading it again and again and again. It's just knowing that you can't change everything as one individual all at once. What you can do, though, is try your best and try and integrate and try and move towards that. And I think that's the first comment I want to move towards, left by Tim DeSaint from Down Under in Australia. So I want to read this out really quick and give you guys my thoughts on that, because I think it just connects to what I just said. As new as I am in the influencer space, I can relate to a lot of the points you talked about. The way I see it, it's about striking a proper balance. Not everyone has the budget to buy the higher quality, more sustainable clothing with the higher price tag, but we can all make an effort to be a little more sustainable in our approach to, sorry, I gotta go all the way over, fashion. Whether that is through investing a little more in sustainable brands, buying less clothing, recycling, and donating our old clothing, wearing things until they are really worn out, thrifting, or all of those combined. It's about doing what is realistic for you. I read a quote the other day, which I'm probably going to butcher, but it went something like, we don't need a handful of people doing sustainability perfectly, we need millions of people doing it imperfectly. I think if we all try and do things a little bit better within a spectrum of what's realistic for us, that's already going to be a big step forward for the industry. Amen. That's such a big point. I think we all have to do what's realistic to us, and if we all make a smaller step, it's a huge step if you combine all of that. Because how many times have you tried to go for an extreme change in your personal life? Whether that's for the environmental greater good of the entire planet, or just for yourself, where you're like, no, I'm gonna start working out every day now. It's hard to go into the extreme, but it's easier and more effective long-term if you scale into it, and that's what I'm trying to do, and that's also what I already knew I was gonna want to do, is try and find that balance in my content, in my channel, between the high and low, I've always done it, but it's just, it was more so letting you guys be part of the mental process that is going in regarding the whole environmental aspect and also sponsorship. Now let's just go through a few more comments that I picked out that I think are gonna elaborate on all the points that I touched upon now generally. I'll go by their in random order right now because that's the way they airdropped onto my phone. Andres Garcia said, agree with all you say, but also be mindful that you are also part of the problem. Stop calling yourself an influencer. You don't influence anything. You're just a platform that offers an audience for brands to sell stuff, just like a magazine has empty space to use as advertisement. Brands aren't dumb. They just know they can use you and others in your industry as cheap advertisement platforms versus other media. They don't value your knowledge of fashion, which I know you have, or your opinion, which is important. This is why other new fashion influencers are coming up with less expertise, buying followers, and then selling their advertisement space to brands at discounted prices. People like you, Marcel, who really know about fashion and really do have a point of view, need to shift your business to something else and stop playing the game of brands that prey on your ego, trying to make you, not you, but your industry, stars. This is why I cringe when someone suggests that this is a career. It is not. It is purely advertisement deals for brands. People with real talent in this field, like yourself, need to reimagine their business model. Regarding sustainability, I see many YouTubers realizing the same thing. Interesting. Clearly, this is not meant as an attack, as you commend me on many things, so thank you for that. But I still have to disagree with a lot of what you said. I don't like the word influencer, which is a later comment that we're also going to talk about. But the word exists for a reason. If you talk to many people that are watching right now probably and ask them if they've influenced their style in any sort of way, that could be as minimal as like, oh yeah, that's a cool shirt, I'm going to buy it, then that is influence. I do not consider myself a tool or a puppet of the brands. I think a lot of the brands, like, yes, it's good that you have that critical eye, and I think many brands are just out there for the money, but many brands are also trying to actually do good. And a lot of the people I work with aren't the CEOs and the CMOs and the ones that have the grand vision of making millions of dollars and, you know, enslaving the entire planet. That's not it. I work with the people in the marketing department, which, by the way, my job is marketing. So if you don't think that is a career in itself, then you're pretty much neglecting all of marketing as a career choice on our planet. And that was for me a very big thing when I started getting into marketing is I asked my professor, why am I trying to get somebody to buy something if that felt unethical to me? And their response was, you're not trying to make them buy something. You're just trying to show them what this product can offer, and if it actually solves a problem that they have in their life, then you can authentically promote that. And that's exactly what I've been trying to do ever since, and that not only in fashion, but like any real thing out there that you get sold. So this is my stance on influencing as a career, which I think it is, but I do get your point that a lot of people are abusing that. I think if you still only work with who you want to work with authentically, then you're good, and then you're not a tool, then you're doing your own thing, and you're creating your own stream, regardless of what the mainstream is doing. That was a big one to get started with, huh? All right, a quick one. Marco Antonio said, stay away from politics, environmental and social issues. It will hurt your overall message. Stick with what you know, fashion. Thanks so much, Marco Antonio. I shall sincerely consider your suggestion, and I will get back to you some point in the future. Wait, actually, this video is already contradicting what I'm... Sorry, man, not gonna happen. I'm gonna talk about the things that I actually care about, so you should hopefully do the same. Next up, we got Jared Coleman. Honestly, man, you have thousands of positive feedback and like maybe a small handful of negative people. Negative people will be negative no matter what. Focus on the positivity. Positive majority, we got you, I enjoy the content. Who cares about what the minority says? Yes, I agree. I do want to not only listen to and focus on and spread that positivity. I would ideally love to convert those negative-minded people to the ones that see things a little bit more optimistically, because I think it's just a better way to live life, personally. So if they have a knack for that, I want to try and inspire that. But what I was sharing is more so my internal struggle, not because anybody's telling me you're a sellout, not because anybody's telling me you're not doing anything that's good for the environment. It's because I question myself, am I doing what's good for the environment? Am I a sellout? And I think that's a question everybody has to ask themselves honestly before they are, ideally. Because if you're honest with yourself, then you really, you can be honest and authentic to everybody out there as well. I'm gonna sum this next comment up a little bit about what to do instead. So basically, he suggested he shops a lot of vintage, goes thrifting, and uses recycled clothing, which, yes, absolutely. I think that is one of the things I want to start more actively integrating in my channel, including DIY, which I'm not the biggest fan. I just never been all that artsy and crafty. But you can use those things to refresh old garments and to give life to things that you would usually hopefully not throw away, but donate or whatever, but you can update them and keep them in your closet. But the point, I think that was definitely a struggle for me as well, is like, yes, I want to promote those kinds of companies, but also make money. And he points out that it's unlikely that a thrift store is going to sponsor me for pushing people to thrift a little more, because it's not a big money business in the first place. So I thought this comment was worth sharing just because it's definitely something I'm going to be looking into, and I suggest you guys do as well, especially if you have a knack for arts and crafts, and maybe you can cut up your denim in a really cool way. And then perfect, like I said, these are random, but Mr. Banks actually perfectly follows it up. I was about to lead into that. Just maybe give some spotlights to green fair brands for free. A photo doesn't count as a photo doesn't cost so much to post on Insta, or maybe one video per month to give them the opportunity to shine and have a positive impact on the fashion market. Love that, absolutely. I think that's definitely something I want to and need to be doing. I already have a video lined up that I'm going to be shooting next week that puts a large focus on companies that put the environment first. So I'm currently doing my research on that. I'm trying to help you guys find those companies more easily and choose to support them if you do. Now the next two comments both related to me and my company. So Harsha asked, and you own a company, right? While Javier Torres said, and your shoes are overpriced. I don't necessarily want to take a point of like defense, because I don't want it to come across emotionally, but I think it's an ideal example of what I mean when we talk about price to a certain extent and the quality that you get for it. Let's take a look at our sneakers. Their sneakers are priced at $165. Yes, if you compare them to all the sneakers that are out there, that's in the medium to upper range, absolutely. Are they overpriced? Absolutely not. I know how much it costs us to make those shoes. I know what we pay the workers, what the conditions are like for the workers in the south of Italy, just north of Naples. We went to the factory, we are a small company, and a big thing that I did not discuss in the last video is economies of scale, and I think we're all aware of it, but are we really? Fast fashion brands like H&M, Zara, Topman are buying in quantities that are incredible. So they obviously have a lot of leverage with production, have their own production facilities, so they can save money when they produce. Even if the quality is the same, they can offer it at a lower price. So just because it's a lower price does not mean it always means worse quality. On the other hand, my company does not mean it's overpriced. It's just we're producing in small quantities, and that's, especially for young businesses, a big point, because you have to cover your costs. So that's just something, if you think they're overpriced, I'm sorry, then maybe they're not for you, and that's okay. But I thought it was a good way to exemplify what it really means to sacrifice extra dollars for that quality and what that struggle means from a company standpoint that is trying to make that entry. Like the environmentally companies I talked about in the last videos that may or may not have the budget to work with an influencer, but their prices are still higher than comparing brands. It's because they are producing and the costs of goods sold is significantly higher than you'll see at mass market companies. So that's just something I wanted to highlight as well. Another two comments that I picked that are related. One by Owen, I think the new girlfriend is having a bad influence on you. And then the comment from Ahmed, who is a loyal ODS squad member, who said, you know you're in a special relationship when you're literally becoming a better person. I mean, you were all awesome before Hilda, but now I think the change is obvious. And if there's any comfort, we are all having the same thoughts somehow, how to do better, be better people, trying to make a change and honor your beliefs, but still in an affordable manner. I mean affordable in a broader sense, not just the financial aspect. Exactly. God, my girlfriend is absolutely, she's sitting right here watching me record this video. She's not having any bad influence on me. If I thought it was, then I would have cut that out of my life if I wasn't ready, which would have been sad for so many reasons. No, surround yourself with the people that are gonna make you more aware of topics that are actually important to you. A few of the comments kind of called me out on being like, oh, all of a sudden you're so like self-aware and this, not a few, maybe like a couple. But in a way, yes, I admitted to that in the last video. I think we live in this bubble. And I think sometimes it takes a lot of courage and another person that maybe you care about to burst that bubble and to actively be courageous enough to look at the issues that you were looking away from prior. So of course I was not unaware of the issues that I was talking about in the last video, but it's just something that I learned to accept more as my truth, and that's leading into the next response to several comments where you're like, just do you, be authentic, put the content out, don't listen to this and that. I'm really not trying to listen to anybody else. It's just something that's happening internally. And that video was probably one of the most authentic pieces I ever put out, because there's just literally, that was just me and my brain. All of that to say, really, to surround yourself with the people that are gonna make you more aware, and then you have the choice whether you want to care or not, which hopefully, obviously, you do. Okay, while we're on a lighter note, might as well respond to this one. Maddie Sadler commented, I don't like the term in general, but I really don't like the idea of people actually referring to themselves as influencers. Maddie, you know what? Me too. It's been my thing for like 3 years. I've struggled with it, and people are always like, yeah, I agree. What would you call yourself then? I've yet to come up with something that describes my job, which is the only thing I intend to do when I use that word. So if you have any suggestions, please leave a comment down below. Thank you so much. Alexander Duff left a comment that I'm gonna read the latter half off as one of the most liked comments of the video, and I'll just jump right in where it says, you're an influencer, why don't you use your platforms to push big brands to change their ways? Form a consortium of influencers and make brands bend to your request for more environmentally friendly items. You have so much power over consumers, but you also have that power over brands, and yet I rarely see influencers use it. I could be wrong though. But nothing is stopping you from bringing influencers with 20 to 100 million combined following and push huge brands in certain directions, that would be an incredible use of your platforms and influence, in my opinion. Now, before I take a stance on that, I just want to read the last comment from Daniel C. LMAO, huge brand, fashion conglomerates don't even touch YouTubers. They already have their own A-list celebrities. A group of influencers on YouTube is like an ant to those huge companies. Never going to happen, kid. Nice thought, though. A little derogatory. A group of YouTubers asking a huge conglomerate to be more green will only get laughed out of the room. No.
Brett was like this behind you.
Now, before I respond, in the background you probably just saw Brett. He does not know the severity of the video I'm shooting right now, so I apologize for his foolishness in the background. Talking about Daniel's response first. Really would encourage you to you can disagree with somebody, but do it in a tone and a manner that's a little bit more respectful. You put him in a place where you seem, everything that you're saying seems very factual, which it's not. Meanwhile, Alexander is really just suggesting something. Now, first and foremost, yes, I work with a lot of those fashion conglomerates, and they don't only work with A-list celebrities. And a celebrity doesn't necessarily have a specific expertise in fashion, so many large brands will go to fashion influencers. Much like you guys, many of you will watch fashion influencers and not necessarily what Michael B. Jordan wears, other than like his red carpet outfit. I actually do love that idea, though, to try and make something happen as a union. I think us influencers, to Daniel's point now, don't necessarily have all that much leverage with the brands directly, but if we do team up and maybe influence you guys, then all of us consumers are going to have an impact on the economy and on the way brands act as companies. I think in a lot of ways, a lot of big brands are already making the right moves. I know sometimes it may seem like it's just for show and it's just the thing to do so you look good in the public eye. Sometimes maybe, sadly, it just is, but I know that a lot of companies are actually out there starting green initiatives, trying to recycle clothes, on the low end as well as the high end. So I think there's a lot of things already happening, and I would love to. It's always the type of thing, though, like when do you find the time to do that? I feel like I have like 5,000 things going on at the same time, and it is more important probably than all of those things, but it's really hard to get people, myself included, and any individual out of their loop of like their one little world to try and create something larger. Thank you for leaving that comment, and you know, at least 107 people liked it that hopefully have read it, so hopefully you've already, you know, done your part for the change. And on that very heavy, confusing note, I want to wrap up today's video. On the same note, honestly, as I did the last time, I'm going to try and do my best. I'm going to try and find that balance. I'm going to try and give you guys the option to balance it out wherever you can, whether that means buying a little bit more high quality pieces, whether it means buying more sustainability, whether it means getting a few of my influencer friends together for a larger fashion lookbook that only features environmentally conscious brands. That is actually something where I feel like that could be an easy thing, where we can start making a move. But I promise you this much, it's still on my mind, and it will be for more than the foreseeable future. And what you guys can do as well is just talk about it with your friends, with people that are interested in fashion, that are in the industry, and try and do your personal best each and every day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you very soon with the next video, and I actually look really forward to reading the comments to this one. Until then, stay dapper.